John Kennedy doing a presentation on backing up your computer. John.
If anybody needs to pick up a snack, because this is going to go a little bit because we're starting late, we've got a lot to cover, but if you do. Prior to this, it's one of those things I keep telling you about. We have those little featurettes that start earlier. We need to make sure that you are sharing this bit of information with anybody and everybody, and this is one of the bases for the purpose of this meeting. In the paper, it was an article again, but this is not something new. It's been around for months, and we have talked to you about it. This new, unresolvable issue of ransomware. And this is the newest terrorist-type activity in that a virus gets into your computer probably because you clicked on an email message and an attachment for somebody you don't know, which was your first mistake, or a PDF that it could have opened up that really wasn't a PDF. The virus then goes into your computer and it encrypts. That means it puts all of your files in a coded state that you have to have a code breaker, a pass-type code, to unlock it, which you don't have. And you will get the information that says if you want the code, you will pay $400. Or maybe they'll give you a break, Marianne, only $300. And they will give you a timer on your computer that starts ticking and says you have 48 hours in order to pay up. It is exactly just like a regular ransom, and in 48 hours, your files will be inaccessible to you forever. There is no breaking of this. None of the antivirus programs or companies can break that. The only person that can is the one that has the code that put it on there. And so after 48 hours, your files will never be unlocked because they're going to move on to somebody else. They could be opened, but it would probably take a couple of years to break that code. There have been people who have paid the ransom, and they get the code and they unlock their files. The report now is there are people who have paid the ransom and have not been given the code. And unfortunately, I don't care if you just love Norton and McAfee, none of them can solve your problem if you let this thing get in. It is very important that you become very active and very defensive on your emails and your attachments, because you will lose everything. And that's why we're here today to talk about backing up.
If anybody wants to see the article, it's in USA Today. You can just go there, Google USA Today, hackers, computer, ransom, whatever you want to Google it. But there's at least a 4-page article that tells all about this. It was in The Advocate. Computer ransom attacks are increasing, but it came. The bigger article came from USA Today. And very good article. You might want to, if anybody wants to read one, I got a couple of them I printed out, and or you can go to USA Today and get the article. It's very, very important that we get on the ball and back up our computers. That's the only way you're going to save your computer.
I don't want it to sound as though as a computer club and you're Licking County help desk for repair and stuff, that we are failures, but this is so serious. And it's because they come up with a single, unique, very hard to break code, and you just won't have the time to break it, and you'll lose it. So if you have your important files backed up, then when they come with this ransom call, if you get it, which we hope you never do, because you are going to be very proactive. And I even recommend that if you get a very unusual, unexpected email attachment from your closest friend, that before you open it, that you verify, because we know that your name and email address can be hijacked and the bad guys will be using it to send it to all your friends, because they know you're just going to go ahead and click and double click and stuff because it's your friend. I have no friends that close in this room.
I just had that happen. My mother-in-law's machine was infected. She's a judge for the state government in Indiana, and somebody hacked her computer.
Okay. As much as I have close connections with many of you here, none of you are close enough that I will just open up without first thinking. Because I know what can happen. And it's not that it might come from Ken, but Ira has Ken's address, and so if Ira's address book is hijacked, they'll use Ken's address, even though it's Ira's fault because his address book got hijacked. Bob?
Whenever I've got quite a few of those, but whenever I get them, what I do is I, of course, do not open the attachment or the link. When I send it back to the person that the address was supposed to be from, and I put a note at the top, I think your account's been hacked, you might want to double check it and change your password.
Yeah.
And also tell them not to click on the link that was there.
Please mention Facebook right here. I just got hate from a girlfriend in Georgia.
What about it? I hate Facebook, but...
I just got hate, virusy, zip files.
Oh, you got 8 virus files through Facebook that you... All right. So those of you who do, Ken?
I read her an email and I said, "What in the heck are you doing, Joyce?" And she said, "I didn't see anything."
You're going to mention automated backups. So
Yeah.
If you have automated backup, when you get one of these emails, if you get infected with this ransomware, you better shut the thing down and get that automatic backup shut off.
Yeah, we're going to be covering that because there is one thing that Rich is going to do. We'll do that. All right, so back up. What do you mean? Am I too close to the computer? I can remember growing up, my parents always would say, "Get back away from the TV, you're too close." So I got used to backing up. But that's not going to do me any good nowadays to back away. So what is backup? Basically, simplest terms, creating and saving an exact copy of a file that you can't afford to lose, or that you don't have the time or the ability to create again. If a file is very important to you and you're saving that file for a reason, then there better be a duplicate of that file so that if you lose the first one, you have it. There are some files that you have that you can't create because somebody else did. Why even worry about this? Well, we already talked about it. Hijack with the ransomware. You can always reinstall your operating system. No big deal. I was talking with Ira and Ron about Windows restore points and how strange things are happening. But I don't worry about that. Here comes the plug. Because on Linux, I can reinstall an operating system faster than Restore can do a restore in Windows. So I don't have to worry about that because I can always reinstall my operating system. I can always reinstall programs. In fact, I even save the program that I get off the internet, the freebie one, in a folder. So if I have to reinstall it, it's there. I don't have to go back out and get it. I can always do that. But what about my files that I've created or I've gotten? How do you get those back? Maybe you have somebody that you have that knows or has all that stuff, but if you can't get those back, you need to be backing up. When things go wrong, well, if you have to reinstall your operating system, in Windows, it wipes out your hard drive and every file on that to replace it with a new edition or version of Windows. You will end up losing all of your files. So number one, practice is a new thing that we don't even really talking about today, and that is separating your data files from your operating system files. So that if you have to reinstall your operating system, it's not going to wipe out your data because they are in two different, we'll call it rooms. And we can discuss that later.
Basically back up my documents.
Not always, because there are other programs or things in there besides My Documents. We'll come back to that when we talk about exactly what, because...
Are the data of what you're speaking of, those are your, my computer, or I mean...
I'm talking about anything that you feel is important.
Oh, okay.
But I'm also was talking on the last slide that I have my operating system in one room and my data files in another room. So if I have to sweep that room out, I'm only sweeping out the operating system. My files are safe on another location. Okay, 5 ways to archive. I've underlined archive because somebody, Mary Francis, is going to tell me, you know, use that word again. Archive, another word for backup. Archive, like in a library, something that you put on that shelf in that back room that nobody ever looks at again. All right, 5 ways. Internal drives, drives that are inside your machine. Optical discs, CDs, DVDs, or Blu-rays. If you have enough money, you should do Blu-rays. USB connected external drives or devices. Back on the table today, somebody, 2 people, maybe 1 person is going to walk away. Now I think we said they can't have the same. 2 USB devices that are not internal, those are external. A network drive that's hooked to your home network. It's not in your computer. It's not plugged into your computer. It's plugged into your network. Or you could use an internet-based solution where you can store things off-site. I'll tell you right now, every option has its pros and cons. Good things and bad things about all of them. You have to decide which one has the best pros and the least cons. But whatever you do after leaving today, you go home and start doing something. Backing up to an internal drive on your computer. If it's not a laptop, it's very easy to throw in another hard drive, connect it up. Your computer sees a second hard drive and says, oh, you got a second hard drive. And you can start backing up. It's very fast, easy, and inexpensive. Hard drives have come down in price. Laptop, you got a problem because there's no room. But in a desktop, all of these computers up here have 2 hard drives in them. One's a Windows hard drive, one's a Linux. But we're talking about one's your Windows hard drive or your operating system, and the other is your backup drive.
Being an internal hard drive, my understanding of that would be it's all of your part of your system. Could that be hacked as well?
Con, low data security. Exactly what Bob's saying. The negative part is, yes, that is on your case. If you have a power surge to your computer, it could wipe out all of your hard drives. And so you have 2 hard drives there. If you get that ransomware, it very likely, unless you somehow have that second hard drive encrypted with password protection that you can't get to it without being able to log into it, then yes, you're at mercy. And that's why this is the very first lowest level. But it is fast, inexpensive, easy to do, but you still have risks. Storing on a backup drive is better than nothing. It's not the best. Backup to an optical drive, that's better because you remove it from your computer. So it's not connected all the time. Negative side, though, it's slow. Burning CDs are slow. CDs cost money to be using them over and over again, and they require careful handling. I was reading where it says you need to have these kept in a very humid, controlled weather stuff in order to have it last longer. Negative side is, if I have that in my house and a tornado comes through and destroys my house, it doesn't matter that I have my backup on a disk not in my machine. It's gone for good. That old tornado picked it up and took it to Oz. So it's good. So a better thing would be that I take my CDs that have all my backups and I take them over to Bill's house and say, Bill, you keep these for me. Because Bill made his house out of bricks, and it's not going to be blown down by the big bad wolf. And then Bill does the same thing. Bill gives me a copy of his. Or you take it to the bank, put it in your storage box if you have one, so it's off-site. But then see, negative, if I need that, what if it's Saturday afternoon and Sunday? The bank's closed. All right, but it's protected. Your house blows down, your files are still safe. USB device. Now this one's a little bit better. Easy to use again. That's what we're raffling off today. It's got better speed, low cost, it keeps coming down. You plug it in, but mixed data security. Good security, I unplug it from my machine. And then, as Ken was directing me to say, then it won't get hit with that virus because I'm not plugged into the computer. But I don't always have access to that. I can't back up until I remember to plug that back in. So it's got mixed parts to it. And again, I have a hard drive, external, all my data, my house gets destroyed, same thing. So mixed feelings. But if I give it to Bob, say, Bob, here, hang on to my external disk drive, it's at least not in my house. Network. I can take, and I have a drive that I'm fighting with right now because I don't like the way they set it up, and I have it plugged into my network so that any computer that's on my home network can access and back up to that. It's not plugged into my computer, but it is plugged into my network. So again, a little bit extra step for security, but anything that happens to my computer, not. But if it's at home, okay, still. But the bottom line is, at least I've done something. The hardest thing for us to do at repair is when somebody comes in and they've got a dead computer, dead hard drive, and they've got a lot of pictures and stuff that they don't have backed up. And even us Linux guys can't do anything about it because it is totally non-working. And they've lost everything.
Hey, John,
Yes?
so this option there is generally a little bit more expensive than just an external hard drive.
Correct. Yeah, except I got a good deal. You know how I like that? I got a good deal on 3 gig or 3 terabyte network hard drive. And this week when I go see my son, I'm going to get another one because he had some on closeout. And he said, "You want one?" I said, "Well, I just bought one." The price that he had, I'm going, I can't not buy it. Free John cannot turn down a better deal than what I got on mine. So now I'm going to have 2 network accessible drives. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do it yet, but yeah, it does cost a little bit more. But my advantage is that I can back up my laptop. I have 2 laptops. I can back up my different laptops to that network. I can back up my computer to that one. Whereas right now, everything, the computer has to be on because the backup drive is connected to the big main computer. Janet?
Would you explain what a network drive is?
Yes, I appreciate that.
It's a hard drive that plugs into my router. Just like your computer. If you have a setup at home where you have your modem that comes in from your internet, and then you put a router so that you can have multiple computers and maybe the little rabbit ears for your wireless. So I can take this special drive and plug it into the router, just like how many of you have printers that plug into your network? Okay? My printer that I just finally got my first one does that, plugs into my network box. Just like we do here, that printer's up on the front is plugged in so that any of these printers or computers can print to it. So my hard drive, instead of having a USB that plugs into my computer, has an Ethernet cord that plugs into my router. And any computer or device, meaning laptops, Kindles, anything that can access my network should or could possibly be able to access that hard drive, which makes it nicer that I don't have to have any computer on. I just have to have my network on. Last of the 5 choices is using a subscription service to a location up in the clouds. We talked about the clouds a couple months ago. High security. Virus can't get to it. Electrical issues at my house can't get to it. Fire and tornado can't get to it. But it's slow because I have to upload all of my files to theirs, and your upload on the internet is a lot slower. Here we're supposed to have about 7. I just did a test and we were close, so we might be getting, but maybe 7's not enough for our use. But the upload that we have is only less than 1. So that means that it's going to take me a lot longer to send up my backups than to come back down. I've had people tell me, using a service like Carbonite, it can take a couple of days to upload all of your pictures, all of your music, all of your whatever. But once you get it done, very high security, low cost, because they give you pretty good deals, like $50 a year for maybe 100 gigs or something. I'd have to look it up. But you also have to worry about, well, is this company going to exist tomorrow? Ira?
Yeah, this cloud business anyway, it's a big apparatus, and actually it's on Earth. And they're big, great big buildings storing all these.
Yep.
They can be hacked too, because that's what's happened before.
They can, but that's their job to make that not happen.
No, but if it does, then if it hacks in one place, then your files will go into it.
That's possible.
Okay. So it's not.
No.
Okay, it's not perfect.
No. And even us Linux people would say to you, there is no perfect.
Right.
Although we feel Linux is close to perfect. Just like right now, how many of you people are concerned about two things? One, what's going to happen to your favorite Red Lobster? What's going to happen now that they're selling it? Is it going to be, if you like Red Lobster, is it going to be as good as it was? How many of you are nervous like I am about what's going to happen to us Time Warner people who are already the adopted stepchild of Time Warner here in Newark? And if you don't understand what I mean, we were Adelphia. Time Warner took us in, didn't really want us. We do not have all the services that Columbus people have. What's going to happen to us when Cox takes over? Comcast.
Right.
I've already read that Comcast has said in order to make sure this deal goes through, they have to make sure that their subscription numbers is less than 30%. So they have already started the process of going through the paperwork to sell off some of their holdings. Are we going to be one of those that's going to be sold off to some other company? We'll not know, but I tell you, I'm nervous about that because that's my middleman. Okay? Yeah? Mouse. There. Now, I didn't want to go to that silly screen.
Mouse in the back.
There we go. All right, ways to back up. Manually. You as an individual, just resave, copy, paste files and folders. You do it yourself. Or you can use some system of files. Oh, I'm sorry, David, you had something.
Oh, back to the cost of the
cloud.
Yeah, there are, at least, I think there are a few that offer some storage space for free.
Yes.
Yeah, I have an account with A Drive, which actually gives you up to 50 gigabytes.
Ooh, nice.
On a free account.
Yeah. The problem is you might have to say, okay, this free service, I back up documents. This free service, I back up my pictures. This free service, I think that Carbonite has unlimited backup for their set price, and I thought it was like $50 or something a year. And I was hoping to have somebody who could be exact on that information, but they couldn't come. So yeah, there are free services, but you might have to parcel out what you're doing unless you want to buy from them. Because you can get from Microsoft, OneDrive, Google Drive, one called Spider Oak. It's gone from my head because that was a couple months ago. But there are free services, but they have limits. Oh, Dropbox is another one. All right, so you could use what is internal in your operating system. Both Windows 7 has a program called Backup and Restore, and Windows 8 decided to be different and changed the name to call File History. Although that confuses people because that makes you think that you just get to see a history of your files. But that's the remake version of Backup and Restore to do your backups.
When you do that, do you do it right on your hard drive? Or is it off to a...
It has to be off to something else.
Okay.
Because the backup, they're trying to tell you, you back up to something else.
Yeah, I didn't explain that. That helps.
Yeah. They're smart enough, they said, I don't use it, but if you have an external or an extra hard drive, they sense it and knows that that's where it's going to go. Because Microsoft even knows that it's senseless to put a backup on your C drive where the original file is also. Yes, you have a backup, but whatever's going to happen to the original is going to happen to the backup because your C drive is going to go. You can also do third-party software that can be manually set up or automatic. And that's where Ken was saying that if you have it set for automatic, and Rich is going to show you one that he uses that has real time, every time a file is made, it's automatically backed up right then. So that means that if You get a corrupted file, it's going to go right to your backup and put a corrupted or encrypted or whatever. So good things, bad things. All right, so we're going to have a demo on the simple copy and save, but no, we're not, because nobody offered to do that. So maybe we'll come back and stumble through that. Okay, we're going to have a demo of our backup for Windows 7 and Windows 8. No, we're not going to. Nobody was willing to do that. I guess it's because people aren't backing up, so this is good. We are going to have 2 quick demos or demos of Windows or backup programs. Rich is going to show us, and we're going to use technology to go to Rich's house and see a program called Desynchronize. And then I have one to show you, one called Sync Back Free. And you know why I like that one. It's got my middle name in it.
Free.
Desynchronize is also free. And then I was hoping to have somebody be able to, last one. I'll go to the end. Do the off-site cloud storage like with Carbonite. Had somebody perfect in line, but they had a previous commitment to go to, and they couldn't, but they would have been here to do that. And I had that one person who was going to do the Windows 7 and Windows 8, but he said, well, I don't come to the meetings anymore, so I really can't do that. So, we'll escape out of here.
John?
Yes?
I just got Windows 7, and I had backed up my computer with a little small, what do you call it, backup thing.
Yep. Like we were raffling off today? Like we're raffling off today?
Yeah. Passport, though.
Different name company.
And I now have it on. With my son-in-law and son, they came over and helped me copy and paste.
Good. Mary Frances, come on up here and talk about it and tell us how you all did that. You're an expert now. No.
No, I'm not an expert. But,
more than just sit. Mary Frances, Mary Ann, sit down. No, I'm joking with you. So here is somebody who won. Now, whoever wins this one back here, if you don't come back and tell us that you used it for backup, we're taking it away.
Hey, John.
Yes.
I don't want to hear you say you didn't have volunteers.
I know it.
And you told them to sit down.
I almost gave her a heart attack because she would make her stand up and talk to everybody. So, she has done that. Good. And she's done an external one. Is it still plugged in, or did you unplug it?
well, right now I gave it to Bob.
Unplugged.
Yeah, and I gave him my old computer, and he's going to take it and make sure everything is on it, because there was some things that didn't move over because I didn't know how to do it. So he's going to back up so that I have everything on. So I couldn't.
Okay, we're getting ready to turn the speaker on for you, Rich. We felt it was easier for Rich to be able to show his demo from home because the program's on his computer at home, and you'll have a little bit better. Rich, can you hear us?
Yes. Wow.
All right. You just startled Mary Ann Higginbotham because she's right up by the speaker. Okay. So what we're going to do is, through the marvels of Skype, and some of you who use Skype, this may be something new to you, we're going to share, or Rich is going to share his screen, his computer with us, like a team viewer would do. So, Rich, if you want to do that, then we can let Everett make sure we got the video and everything going good.
How's that?
Don't see it yet? Here it comes. Hey, there's the grandson.
Boy, you've changed, Rich.
Okay, I'm doing one more full screen so that we see his computer. Okay, I'm looking good. Let's see, get a thumbs up from our producer here. Everett says good. All right, so I'm going to let you take over for a while.
Okay. How's that? Is still good, John?
Looks good. Desynchronize.
It's not there.
Okay, when John first set out the notice to find out if people used it, what they used to back up their files, I told him that I used a program called Desynchronize. And this is probably one of John's favorites because it's free.
Just doesn't say free.
So it doesn't cost anything. I've been using it now. I found it about 7 or 8 years ago. And it's a very small program, runs very, takes up very few resources in your system. It is written by a gentleman in Italy, and we'll show you later on how to get to his website. Desynchronize, there's uses. You can do a number of things. It's used to back up a single file. So if you have a file that you are constantly changing and want to keep backups, so you can use it to back up folders, which can contain many files, or you can even do a complete drive. It'll back up your whole drive to another place, another hard drive. And the nice thing about Desynchronize is there are a variety of different ways of using it. You can use it like at the end of your work session, you can say, synchronize my files, and then we'll back them up. You can schedule it to synchronize at a certain specific time. Or the feature I like about it is a real-time sync. So as you're working the program, you create a folder, it will automatically create that folder for you. You create a file in that folder, it automatically creates that file in the backup location. Backup locations, there are a variety of different ways you can use this. One way is to another internal hard drive or a partition on the internal hard drive you work off of. On my system right now, I do it to an internal hard drive. I have a 2 terabyte mirror. So I have two 2 terabyte drives that are mirrored, and I use Desynchronize to back up my files to those 2 hard drives, to that mirror. I also use it for an external hard drive. I have a hard drive that sits in a dock, and I'm also backing up files from my mirror to that specific files, like all my digital pictures. I have over 19,000 digital pictures, so I want to keep them backed up in several locations in case there's a catastrophic failure of some sort. You can also use a flash, thumb, or jump drive. Now, the external drive in your flash or jump drives, thumb drives, you have to make sure that they are connected to the system when you do your backup. So real-time, if you're using real-time sync to do the backups, you have to make sure these drives are online all the time. If you're doing it so that you synchronize at the end of a work session, you can plug your flash drive in and then say hit synchronize, and then it should find the flash drive and go from there. I haven't used it on the flash drive. John and I were talking about it a little bit the other night. You may have to designate the flash drive with like a drive letter so that when it's plugged in, Desynchronize, the way it's set up, use paths. So you may need to give your jump drive a drive letter so that when it's plugged in, Synchronize can find it. Or you can use network storage. I used to have a file server, a terabyte file server that was on my network. And I had Desynchronize backing up backing up my files to that network server. Or you can do a NAS, which is a drive that lives out on the network, and you can have access to it. So the nice thing about Desynchronized, it provides you with a variety of different ways to back up your files. Okay, now the Desynchronized interface. Let's take a look and see what Desynchronized looks like when it comes up on the screen. You pull over my other desktop. When Desynchronized starts up, this is what you'll see on the screen. Now, I have really, you can see here, over here is the left, is the sources up the top here. This is where I'm getting my files from, and over here on the right is the destination where you're going to. As you can see, I have real-time sync checkmarked here. If I uncheck it, you can see that my paths now are not grayed out. And you can see some of the options that are used to, with Desynchronized, where you can, I have several that are standard things you copy. It's like copy new files, newest files, delete create a folder if it exists. You can shut down at the end of the sync. There is a way to, I think there is a way to set it for a timer. Set enable timer over here, timer sync, so it gives you a way of syncing it. As you can see at the top, there are paths that you create. These are places that I have synced. Because my machine is networked in my house, I put the files that I'm sharing with other computers in my house in the public documents. That way, my wife's laptop can access those files, my CAD station can access the files, and so forth. And then I have some files that I'm just backing up. You would create a path to get at by creating path by adding the new, and then you can browse to set it. So let's see. Let me go here to my desktop and take a file I have here. Let's go visual media. So now it's going to take that, and over here on the right hand side it leaves it blank. If I do edit here, I can then browse, and on my computer, my terabyte backup is the data and backup drive here. So if we open it, come on, okay. Live demonstration, there we go. So I place all my things in synchronized files. So then I would say synchronized files is where I want those files backed up. And now I have created the path. So here's my source, C drive, my profile, the desktop visual media, and it's going to send it over to D drive synchronized. Now once that's check marked, that means that path is good. And if I do synchronize, it would back up all those files. Now, I don't think this session is a good place where we want to show all this. At the end, I have a link to a tutorial on YouTube, which will go into a lot more detail on how to set up the paths, how to set up some of the parameters here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn real-time sync back on, because I want to demonstrate how it works. And I'm going to minimize that a little bit. And I have 2 folders here. And the folder here, the window on the left is my public documents folder. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, and over here on the right is the window where my synchronized files are on the D drive. So what we're going to do is I'm going to right click here, I'll do a new, and first I'll create a folder, give it the name test, and when I press enter, if you watch the right hand window,
Drum roll.
and there's the folder test. That was done real time. So as I created this, now we can go into that folder and we'll create a new document. Let's just say we'll do a text document and I'll call it today. And now hopefully it should take you long. And there's the file in the test folder. John and I were talking about the other night. He asked me, well, how many system resources does it slow things down when it's doing this in real time? I have not seen any slowdown. My machine is a dual core or a quad core, so it has 4 processors, so it does a little of its own things. But maybe if you were doing a very, very large text document or something with a lot of graphics, like a 20-page document with graphics, you may see a little bit of slowdown on your system, but I haven't noticed many things, and I've even when it's doing its sync, when it syncs for the first time, your folders, like when I created my sync for my photographs, it synced probably at that time 13,000 photos, and it ran in the background and didn't seem to slow things down too much. Now when I delete the file, now over here in my public documents, if I take the today and I'm going to delete that file, it will automatically delete it on the backup. So as you delete things, it is deleted from that standpoint. Now it's because I'm the user saying I wanted this deleted at this point. It is checkmarked not to delete files on backup. So if it doesn't see a file for some reason, it will not delete it from the backup unless you, depends on how you set your basic parameters. So I think that really it seems to work fairly quickly. As I said, it takes very few resources, and as John likes, it's free. So to get desynchronized, here's the web address. John, I sent this link and a link for the video to you in an email.
Good. I'll post it.
Go ahead and post it on the discussion board for the club. So if you notice on the address, it is it's not the typical thing. It's a .org. It's a .org address because this gentleman is in Italy. So if on my PowerPoint, I click on the link, and this is what his website will look like when you first go. He has a number of programs, and as it says up here, it's freeware. He has a couple of programs like DSpeech, and to find Desynchronize, if you scroll down the website, the web page, you get past a couple of his other programs, DSpeech, DShutdown, and then you'll find Desynchronize. And it'll tell you a little bit about it. Down here is the download link. It's for Windows, NT, Windows 2000, Windows XP, Vista, Windows 7 and 8 it says it works on. Now I'm running Windows 7 Professional here at home. And so it seems to work fine. My wife's laptop's running Vista. I have it set up on my mother-in-law's machine, and it's running Vista also. So it seems, and there is a variety of different languages. It's been translated into a variety of different languages.
Yeah, we'll have this all posted on the web board, and you'll have the links to this one and the one I use. So that's an added feature that you can go there and get those links. Anybody got questions for Rich? I can try to, since we don't have a microphone to walk back to you, I can try to be the moderator and feed him.
I got one more link.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's right.
This is the link I found. I did a search on YouTube the other night, and I found a link for a pretty nice video that will tell you how to set up desynchronize and how to set up some of the parameters, do different things. The gentleman does a very good example. It's about a 10-minute video. He does a very good job of telling you how to set it up basically from that standpoint. Okay, John, I think that's about it.
Yeah, that's good. Any questions for Rich? Yeah, Bob?
Once you back up a hard drive and you go in and change one file and update it, will that go back in and update that one file on your backup?
Okay. I don't know if you could hear that.
No.
Okay. If you have all your files backed up, and then you go in and you change one file, does the backup one file get changed, or do you have to do them all?
It will only back up the new file, the one that was changed. So it knows, it's able to know, okay, in this path, all these files that are in this path, this is the only one that was changed, okay, this is the only one I back up. So it's not going to back up, it's not going to save everything again. The first time, when you run the synchronize the first time, when it sets up and backs up all those folders to the new destination, it will take some time. And there'll be a log. You can see it here on the screen. Let me make this bigger. Here you see the log where when we were creating the test folder, and when you do a sync, let's tell you what, let's do. I just started a synchronization. So down at the very bottom, it's telling you what file I'm synchronizing right now. It's going down through the different things. You can see it down here at the bottom of the screen, I think, can you, John?
We saw something earlier and now it's gone.
Okay, it's flashing real quick because it's going through all these files looking to find which ones have changed and which haven't. So and right now it's in my graphics media, which is where all my digital pictures and my clip art collection and everything is going. So it's going through checking all those files right now to see if there's been a change.
Now that's because you ran the scan or the sync, but
right.
Your method to put the auto, the minute you changed that one file, it automatically backed up that instant. So
correct.
It's real time.
Yeah.
Now, here's the question for you that was brought up earlier. If you have real time activated, what happens if a virus happens to get in and starts attacking your files? What happens to the backup files that are auto-synced?
They would probably be corrupted also.
Okay.
Because if it writes a change to it, it's going to sense a change and then it's going to back it up. I run virus protection software, so I'm hoping that catches most things. I've been pretty lucky. I picked up a rootkit that tried to eat up all my hard drive space on my C drive, but did not seem to affect my stored files on my server or my other drives, just my C drive. But other than that, I contracted any other viruses. Now, if that's the case, but if you're backing up to an external drive, so at the end of the session or once a week or something like that, you plug the external hard drive in, you back up your files, then you unplug that drive, and then that way your files are basically like as if you burn to a DVD and put them in a box someplace in a case. So like in CryptoLocker, that CryptoLocker...
That's what we were talking about.
I think that would be the only way that you'd be able to save the files, because my understanding was with CryptoLocker that it searched for all files on your machine, and I would assume it would go for look at any hard drive that is physically connected to the machine, maybe even through network.
So that was the whole point, that the best practice is to be doing some kind of backup that is unconnected until you need to do it again. So, you might want to keep yours the way you have it, and then once a week do a backup that is plugged in, makes a backup, not just of the one that's changed now, but it will look through all of the files and see what's changed, do a massive backup, and then unplug it again.
Yeah, I have an external dock and I have where I can plug different hard drives in, and I have several hard drives. One that I back up my pictures to, my digital pictures, and I have another that I back up an image of my old hard drive to. And so I have another hard drive that I do periodically, once a week or once a month, back up all my files. So I create a path and then I would run that. Now, what I would do is create that path up here, and then I would only check mark that path. Let's say create a new path, and see if I can quickly do this. Yeah, we'll do the visual media again, and let's just say we do it to my D drive, the synchronized files again. Now this path that you notice is not check marked. So if this goes to an external drive, as long as it's not check marked, if I do real-time sync, it's only going to sync the paths that are check marked. Okay, so if I do something and create it, it's not going to do anything to this external drive because it's not check marked. So what I can do, I can uncheck mark my other paths, check mark this path, make sure my external drive is plugged in, then hit the synchronize, and it's going to synchronize those files to that external drive. Then once it's done, I can uncheck mark this, check mark the other ones again, and set it up for real-time sync again. And now my files are being backed up normally.
And of course, this shows a combination of automatic and you doing it. But as Ken pointed out, which was great, that virus could connect to anything. So once a week, you do a manual. For free, John, my antivirus programs can't be set up for multiple runs. And even some of the free ones will not automatically run on a specific schedule. It always has to be done by the human. And I say, okay, for free, I'll do that. I'll get a routine. Every 2 weeks or every Friday, I back up or I run my scans. And you kind of have to decide what is your best method of what you do. So this is where, like the Carbonite, going off-site, automatically checking would be not a bad decision, because it's not going to be here, and then if a virus gets in, it probably can't get to Carbonite because it has to be connected to your computer, and that's off the internet. Vicky's got a question?
As Rich has been talking about this, if you have a file you no longer need whatsoever, is it reasonably easy to delete it from the backup?
Okay, Rich, if you've got a file that, or a folder that's on your backup and you no longer want it, how easy is it to get rid of that backed up folder that you don't want?
Just go to your backup and just delete it right from there. Now the problem is you probably should also delete it from your source, or it's going to back it up again when you do your synchronize.
And if you delete it from the source, it will delete it from the backup.
Yeah, when you go to synchronize it.
Yeah.
Or it may down here, deleted files. I have it, do not delete any files. So what it may do is it may ask you, you can say ask before deleting files. And that is grayed out right now, but it is checkmarked on my system. So what it might do is when it goes to do the backup, it finds, okay, wait a minute, you deleted this file, but it's still here. Do you really want to delete it? And you could say yes.
All right.
Good.
Now, we talked a little bit about setting, and I brought up the timer function. It's a window right now. You can synchronize every hours and minutes. Okay. Or you can tell it to synchronize at a certain specific time. Or you can say specify the month's day on which to synchronize. So if you want to do it the first of the month, or specify a week, you can say, okay, days of the week, okay, I want to do it every Wednesday. So it does give you a variety of options if you're going to do a time sync from that standpoint. So if you know that you're going to sync your files Wednesday night at midnight, you could plug in your external hard drive. At midnight, it would back up the files, and then the next day you would unplug your hard drive and then go from there. Now there is a function here to shut down that end. So when the sync is done, it will shut your computer off. Now it will not shut off your monitor or other devices that are plugged into a plug strip or something like that, but it will shut the computer. This is how my mother-in-law's is set up, because each night she shuts off her machine, so I just tell her, okay, hit the synchronize button, synchronize your files. Then she turns the monitor off, and then when the synchronize is done, it turns her computer off.
Well, thank you very much.
What about emails?
What about emails?
Can we back up emails with this program?
If the emails are stored on a folder on your computer, yes, you should be able to. Now, I use a web-based email, so the emails are not stored on my folder, but I think, John, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't Outlook, you can have it save the file, emails to your hard drive?
Well, I couldn't tell you because I don't use Microsoft products.
Well, I think Outlook gives the option to save the files and emails to your hard drive, but I use all web-based emails, so I use Hotmail and Gmail, so my emails are all stored on their server.
Yeah. Nancy?
So if we have
Thunderbird,
then it can't be read, or will it be able to be read later?
it will be able to be read later, but only by Thunderbird.
Right, okay.
Just like the Outlook can't be read by anything other than Outlook. Ira?
Yeah, if he's got a partition, will it do the partitions too?
It will, what, back up a partition?
Yeah, back up both sides of the, if he's got them split, got something else on the half of it.
It'll back up anything he tells it to back up.
Okay, on a partition.
If your partition has a drive letter and it shows up in my computer, then it should be, you should be able to create a path to that location.
Yeah, because see, in my case, my data is on the D drive, so mine would have to say, go to the D drive, back it up to the B drive for backup. David, real quick here.
Yeah, any email client, well, normally, that's the standard way they work is to save the email messages on the hard drive. So whether it's Outlook or Thunderbird or whatever, an email client.
Right.
It's going to save the messages to the hard drive, so if you know where that's located.
That's the trick.
Yeah.
Because they don't make it so obvious to where it is. But if you find that folder that they're in, you know, you can copy that. But again, it'll only be opened by the program that it makes. As an example, the guy in Columbus, Bill Blinn uses an email program client called the BAT, the paid one. But it saves it in a format that only BAT can open. So, you know, but that's what you use. So, yeah. If you need to back up, if you find it, you can. Okay, yeah.
One thing before I leave. One thing on this interface, it starts up when the program first starts. You don't want to X out of it. You want to minimize it. If you X out of it, it ends the program and it's no longer running. But by minimizing it here, it will come down to the system tray. I don't know if you can see it down here. Can you see my system tray?
What's this?
Lower left-hand corner?
Yep.
Do the, show them.
Yeah, I'm getting my pointer. It's right down there.
There's a small icon for desynchronize. If you do a right click and say show, you can see bring the interface back up any time. So you always want to minimize it when you're done setting up your paths and those kind of things, or when it first starts up and shows on the screen. Now I've had a little trouble with it getting permission or starting. You can start it as a auto start or as a service. I had a little trouble for one reason or another. I don't know why, but I actually start this up by putting a shortcut in my startup menu under Start Programs, and so that it automatically starts up.
All right. Thanks so much, Rich. This is a neat example, too, to show the membership how we can do this technology of you being there. You're not behind the screen. You're not that guy we don't pay attention. You are at your home, wherever that could be, and we're able to do this technology through the wonders of a speaker and internet and all that. So thanks much. We'll get that stuff posted so people can look at your program, and I'll talk with you later.
Okay, John.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Okay, I wanted to do it real quick. I always have to show you, you have options. You're not limited to one. There's another program, SyncBack Free. There's SyncBack Free, SE, and Pro. Each one costs more and has maybe more features. You have to check and see, does this paid thing have some features I really want? And if they do, Free John says, go with it. The program I use is called SyncBack Free, and you're going to see that it is very, very similar. And I'm going to magnify it. So this is SyncBack Free. Now what you see is I set up profiles. And I can have as many profiles as I want. The thing I like about mine is that I can set up different ones. You can see I have 3 profiles. One is for my data. One is for software. Remember I told you I keep all my software in a folder, so if I ever need to reinstall, I don't have to go back to the internet. And then I have one that's called a cabinet. Cabinet is a way I store stuff I get from you. I have a partition that has 26 folders, A through Z. Anything that I didn't create goes into my file cabinet because you gave it to me or somebody. So in my data, that's the stuff I made. In cabinet is the stuff that other people made. I just keep those separate, but they're still backed up. You can see they're set up for a backup. Last was run on 17th and 16th. Notice that mine are usually done overnight. The reason that the 7 o'clock one at PM, it does not run if my computer is off, and so would Rich. So the next time it came on, you'll notice that I had successful results, and there it tells me where it's going to run again. It also shows you the left source, just like on Rich's program, and the right for my destination. And I have those all set up. I named my backup drive B, just because I'm cute. B for backup, because nobody uses B. Now,
question?
Yeah.
You had this column there that said success.
Yes.
And the top one was in black text.
Yes.
And then the second and third one were in green. What's the...
I was messing with the first one today.
Oh. Okay.
Because I was doing something to see if I was going to do it for you, but we're not going to have time to go to my computer. I was going to team view to my computer, but we're running out of time. So it's the only difference is because I went in to look at the log. I have a log that tells me everything happened. You're going to see that in just a minute. Now, here's the thing on this one. There is a simple and an advanced. I've got the advanced showing up because I want you to see mine works a little bit different. I have the files that are copied from my source to my destination, but I have some other additions. If they find that something has been changed, it will replace the one that's on my backup with the new one. Duh, that's what you want. Files are only on the source or copied to the destination. It doesn't go backwards. That's called synchronization complete. That it makes sure both are the same. I don't want both being the same. This is my hard drive with my data. I want this to be a backup. So it goes through and looks for things that are on my data drive that are not on my backup, add it, or anything that's changed. And so it also, if they say, ooh, for Vicky's question, if it goes through and sees that I deleted a folder or a file, and it doesn't see it on my directory anymore, but they do see it in the backup, it'll get rid of it automatically. My assumption is, if I got rid of it from my regular drive, I don't want it anymore. So you clean it up. Now, so, basic difference. But what I see different, and I kind of liked what Rich's did, but I'm concerned a little bit about the real time. Having it on all the time in case of virus type things. The difference is that I can run different ones at different times. When we were looking at his, I think it's an all or none. All of those that were checked have to be run, or he has to do them individually. I can set these. I got 3 different ones set. One of them runs on one night at one time. One of them runs at another time at a different time. So I think that SyncBack gives me a lot of flexibility in doing what I have. And the next thing I like, there's my log. And I can go into log, and you can see up here that it told me that the last time it did it, and the reason it's not so much because that's my Windows side, you know how much I use it. It copied, deleted, renamed, or changed 4 files. It skipped 1. It skipped 1 because it was exactly the same as the one that was on there, so it said it didn't have to do that. So it gives me the results. Over here in the gray you can't see. If there's any kind of errors, I can click on it and it will tell me what the problem is. A lot of times it is files that can't be accessed because Microsoft might put a block on them being admin user or whatever. So all I have to do is go in and say, ignore that. I tell it to ignore my backups, my trash cans. I don't want them copying trash stuff, so it does that. What I love about my program is that if there is an error, I get an email right after it's run that has, you had an error. So no news is good news for my syncing program. But if there's any bad problem, I get an email immediately following the run. I'll have this linked on the web board too. And just like what I tell you in classes or anywhere, you can have multiple programs except for virus and firewall. So I would say to you, go get both of them. Try them. See which one you like the best. And then once you've settled on it, get rid of the other one. But I can't tell you which one you're going to like better, or if you want something different. If we had somebody here who could talk to you about the Windows 7 backup or Windows 8 file history, you might say, oh, I like that better. That's your choice. If you just want to go to the simple thing of where you go to a folder and you just say copy. Bob's question, or beginning about my computer. This is my fancy Windows 8 start menu. Best start menu I've ever found. Go ahead. If I go to computer, and then I have to go to user, there's Windows, and there's users, and I'm this guy for laptop. Okay, Bob, here's why not just my documents. Because inside of your home, let's see if this will get bigger. Inside of your actual home, there's documents, there is pictures, there is video, and there is music. But there is a hidden file in here that you probably need to copy or back up called app data. And you might want to have a copy of your desktop so that if something craps out and you have a fancy desktop with all sorts of icons and whatever, you backed up what you like to see. If you use Microsoft Internet Explorer, then you have your searches that you want, your favorites that you want. So actually what you want to do would be to do a quick, easy, all you do is back up or copy this folder, which includes all of these, somewhere. That's you doing it manually, but that's the simplest way. So if I have a thumb drive, I just do a right click on that folder, one step up, and say, send it to the thumb drive. And that's the easiest way to back up. If you have a big enough thumb drive, is just to say right click, send it to the thumb drive. But this one folder will get all of this. Or in my SyncBack program, I can choose documents, music, pictures, video. Now what I can't tell you, because it's their product, Microsoft might by default pick those 4. That doesn't do me any good because I don't save anything on C drive, my user, pictures, documents, folders. All my stuff's on D drive. I don't know whether Microsoft is smart enough to say, oh, his documents, music, pictures, and videos is on the D drive, not the C drive. So I can't tell you. That's why I wanted somebody else to do it, but they couldn't come. If it can be that smart to find my documents, music, pictures, and copy it. So I don't trust that. I just do my SyncBack. Questions about backing up. This is just backing up files. We're not talking about your computer image. That's another whole different class. I don't worry about that so much because I've got the disk for Windows or I've got the disk for Linux and I can just reinstall. It's these files that I've created or somebody else has created that I want to be able to get back easily. Mac has it. I checked with our Mac person right there, and they have a program called Time Machine, which probably does very basically the same thing. And of course, us Linux people, we have a program called rsync. And I just was sitting here having a good time because as Rich was showing the time schedule on that, our program for Linux does that. It picks the day and the month, the time, and this and that, and what do you want to back up? So all of the operating systems do have access to back up. Whether people do it or not, that's the problem. Any questions? Vicki?
On this backup, where I have VirtualBox, am I going to be able to back up both Linux and Windows 7 on the same machine?
No, because we're not talking about backing that up. We're talking about backing up folders.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I had folders on one and folders on the other.
You have to do 2 different backups. Windows will not acknowledge Linux.
Right,
But,
I know that.
well, I worked on the same machine. Gonna make 2 separate backups on the same machine.
Microsoft cannot back up Linux. They don't know that it exists. They can't see it, so they can't do anything about it.
I tried it, Vicki, and it doesn't work.
See, I'm not quite sure I understand exactly
She
what you're...
means, can she put on her Western Digital passport, can she do 2 separate operations?
In 2 separate locations.
But on the same backup hard drive.
But you have to make sure that your backup hard drive is not a Linux drive, because Windows won't
I
acknowledge.
understand that part.
Okay,
But I've got one like this backup machine over here.
right, so it has to be a Windows file.
And that would be all we'd be able to put on it?
No, Linux reads Windows files, but it doesn't do it the other way around. The way I'm going to do it, I would have mine separated. A half of the drive would be Windows, half the drive would be Linux.
In other words, you partition the backup.
That's what I would do, but you don't have to, because Linux can use the backup on, Windows. But just copy your files to your home. David.
Just a hardware comment.
Yep.
If anyone has like a spare hard drive that you've taken out of a computer, you can make an external hard drive by buying an external enclosure and putting that hard drive inside the enclosure, and then you're using that hard drive as an external hard drive.
Right. 2 choices. An alternate is what Rich does. If he had the word that somebody would say, what was he talking about? He has a docking bay. He's not sitting by the dock in the bay. No, he has a little device that he can take a regular hard drive that came out of a computer and just plug it in and take it out. He doesn't have to worry about putting an enclosure on it, because he just, plugs it in. But David's saying, I've done that with a drive. You buy a cheap, I don't want to say cheap, inexpensive case that you put it in, and then it has a USB that plugs in. Now you got your own homemade external USB hard drive that you took a hard drive from inside a computer, put it in a case to be making it look nice and everything. But you can, if you had a number of those, you'd probably want a docking bay, because that makes it easier. You just plug it in, unplug it. So yeah, that's good, David. Anything else? My hope, and I'm trying to think who else. Jim's hope. I'm looking for the people, Ken, who comes to the repair. Our hope is that you start backing up your personal files, because then when something goes wrong with your computer, you kind of go, it doesn't bother me, because I've got my personal files backed up. I can just reinstall my operating system. There was somebody came in last week, or I sent somebody here, who said their hard drive or computer was dying. I said, well, as long as the hard drive can still be accessed, we can get all of your personal stuff off. But if your hard drive is toasted, we can't get anything off of it. Last questions, because today somebody's going to go home and get to do backups, because a 64 gig thumb drive can store quite a lot of your files. And of course, the 1 terabyte will be great. Last chance to buy a raffle ticket. I'll give you one last as I close out and ask for any last comments. Do we have not the hook, line, and sinker. Do we have a carrot for next month's topic?
Security, yeah. If you're curious, if someone is lurking on your property, inside or out, wouldn't you love to be able to go click on something on your computer and look and see what had occurred during the last several days?
Home security stuff, huh? Okay. See, that's all we're going to tell you. We're going to tell you. And probably not very expensive to do it, huh?
I don't think I'm going to give them anything else.
All right. So now that we know how to make the inside of your computer secure, now let's have an interesting presentation. That's going to be July or June. August or July is our picnic. We also have topics set for August and September, but we're not going to tell you about that just yet. And October is the last month we don't have a topic 100% set. Remember, November and December combined for the big banquet and election the first Saturday or Sunday of December. So we've got a lot of great programs coming up. Check the whiteboard. Yes.
If any of you guys are thinking about whether you want to buy a tablet or not, why don't you just check sales and ask questions between now and August 17.
Hint, 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 huh?
There may be some very interesting things happen on August 17 here.
All right.
2 carrots enough?
2 carrots is enough. Well, 2 carrots and a barbecue. Skip the carrots. Give me that beat. All right. Thank you very much.
Yay.